afternoon, children. Hope you all are fine and you had a great time celebrating Onam. So, today we are going to deal with the lesson Indigo from your Flamingo textbook. The chapter Indigo emphasizes the fact that an effective leadership can solve any kinds of problems without any harm to anybody. This chapter deals with the way Mahatma Gandhi solved the problem of poor sharecroppers of Champaran in a non-violent way. As class 12 students, you may have learned about the Champaran movement in your history textbooks. So we have a chapter from the historical account of India's freedom struggle. Now let's talk about the author. Louis Fisher was an American journalist. He wrote the biography of Mahatma Gandhi entitled The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. And Indigo is an excerpt from this book. This is one of the best books ever written on Gandhi. So let's move on to the chapter. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his ashram in Sevagram in central India, he said, I will tell you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1970. So the chapter begins with the encounter, the meeting that journalist Louis Fisher had with Gandhi. And it was in the year 1942 when Gandhi was in his ashram in Sevagram. And Gandhi is beginning his freedom movement account in India by stating a happening in the year 1970. That was a movement that made Gandhi decide to press the departure of the British. He had gone to the December 1916 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates and many visitors. During the proceedings, Gandhi recounted a peasant came up to me, looking like any other peasant in India, poor and emaciated, and said, I am Rajkumar Shukla. I am from Champaran and I want you to come to my district. Gandhi had never heard of the place. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. And now Gandhi is explaining that event. It happened when he was attending the Indian National Congress Party's annual convention session in December 1916. And it was a session attended by 2,301 representatives. During the meeting, Gandhi recalls meeting a farmer. He was representing a peasant in India, very poor and very lean he was looking, and his name was Rajkumar Shukla, and he was from Champaran, and he wanted Gandhi to accompany him to his district. But Gandhi had never heard of that place. Actually, it was a place which was located in the foothills of the valleys of Himalayas, and it belongs to the near the kingdom of Nepal. Under an ancient arrangement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Now, what do you mean by sharecroppers? Peasants who gave part of their crop as rent to the owner of the land are called sharecroppers. They used to give a part of their crop as rent to the owner of the land. Now, Rajkumar Shukla was one of them. He was illiterate but resolute. He was illiterate but he was very determined. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, speak to Gandhi. So Rajkumar Shukla had come to attend the Congress session to present his problem about the injustice, the landlord system in Bihar. And somebody had told him about Gandhi, that Gandhi could help them. Now, Gandhi told Shukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad. Shukla allowed him to the ashram, followed him to the ashram. For weeks he never left Gandhi's side. Fix a date, he begged. Now, Gandhi was already having some appointments. He had to go to Kanpur and he also committed to visit other parts of India. But now here what Shukla is doing is that he is following Gandhi everywhere he is going. And when Gandhi returned to ashram near Ahmedabad, Shukla even followed him to the ashram. For weeks he was after Gandhi and he begged Gandhi to fix a date to go to Bihar. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhi said, I have to be in Calcutta on such and such a date. Come and meet me and take me from there. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointment spot in Calcutta when Gandhi arrived. He waited till Gandhi was free. Then the two of them boarded a train for the city of Patna in Bihar. There Shukla led him to the house of a lawyer named Rajendra Prasad, who later became president of the Congress Party of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, but the servants knew Shukla as a poor yeoman who pestered their master to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they let him stay on the grounds with his companion Gandhi, whom they took to be another peasant. But Gandhi was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? Now, what happens is that months passed and Gandhi is asking him to pick him up from Calcutta on a certain date, as Gandhi was very much impressed by the sharecroppers' firmness on their request. So months passed and Shukla was waiting on the appointment spot in Calcutta. And when Gandhi was free, two of them boarded a train to Bihar. And there Shukla is leading Gandhi to the house of a lawyer. And the name of the lawyer was Rajendra Prasad. So I think children you are familiar with this name. Who was Rajendra Prasad? He was the first president of India. And he became the president of Congress Party of India as well. But at that time, Rajendra Prasad was out of town, and the servants were familiar with Shukla as a poor man who used to disturb Rajendra Prasad, asking him to help the indigo sharecroppers. So they asked him to stay on the grounds. And Gandhi, who came along with Shukla, was also mistaken to be another peasant, and Gandhi was not even permitted to draw water from the well because they believed that Gandhi, being an untouchable, may pollute the well and the water. But it was very ironic that Gandhi was not at all an untouchable. Here, indirectly, Gandhi is referring to the severeness of untouchability, that a man is not even allowed to have water because he belongs to a poor creed. Now, Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran, to obtain more complete information about conditions that Shukla was capable of imparting. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore Shantiniketan School. Now Gandhi decided to go first to Muzaffarpur, as Rajendra Prasad was out of town. Waiting for him was just of no use. So he went to Muzaffarpur because he wanted to collect more information other than what Shukla was able to disclose. And he sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur. Actually, Gandhi met him at Tagore Shantiniketan School. The train arrived at midnight, 15 April 1970. Kripalani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in a government school. It was an extraordinary thing in those days, Gandhi commented, for a government professor to harbor a man like me. In smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. Now Gandhi is reaching Muzaffarpur in 15 April 1917, and he was received by Kripalani along with his students. And Gandhi stayed there for 2 days in the home of a Professor Malkani, and he was a teacher in a government school. And Gandhi remarks it as an extraordinary thing because in those days, a government professor can be punished if he provides shelter for a man like Gandhi. Because in smaller localities like Muzaffarpur, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for the advocates, the arguers of home rule. What do you mean by home rule, children? The rule of a dependent country, okay, independent country. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champion. Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasant groups in court. They told him about their cases and reported the size of their fee. Now, Gandhi's arrival created a huge impact and hope in the mind of the sharecroppers. A lot of them came to see him. And now, Muzaffarpur lawyers were called by Gandhi to know the brief up of the cases, which was represented by the peasant groups. And they also reported about the size of the fee they have to charge for it. Gandhi chided the lawyers for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, law courts are useless. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Now Gandhi became so angry after hearing the big fees of the lawyers that they collected from the sharecroppers. He said that we should all stop going from the law courts because taking such cases to the courts will not do any good because the peasants are so crushed and they are fear-stricken and such law courts are of no use for them because the real relief for them is to be free from fear. Children, underline these sentences. The real relief for them is to be free from fear. Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into large estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. What do you mean by arable land? A land which is fit for plowing. So, what Gandhi says was that most of the fertile land in Champaran district was divided into large estates and it was owned by the Englishmen. And who worked there? The Indian tenants. The chief commercial crop was indigo. Indigo is a plant, it's used to make dye and it is purplish blue color. So children, now you understood why the title of the chapter is indigo. So the chapter is based on the production of the crop indigo. The landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20ths or 15% of their holdings with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. This was done by long-term contract. See children, what was the injustice done to the sharecroppers? As the chief commercial crop was indigo, the landlords, what they did? They compelled all tenants to plant 15% of their land with indigo and they have to surrender the whole indigo harvest as rent. And it was done on a basis of a long-term contract. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. So what happened is that as Germany developed synthetic indigo, the demand for the natural indigo was falling down in the market. So they started to obtain the profit from the sharecroppers as they have to pay the compensation for the decrease of demand of natural indigo in the market, which was again purely injustice. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome to the peasants and many signed willingly. Those who resisted engaged lawyers. The landlords hired thugs. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed and they wanted their money back. Now what happened was that The peasants, almost all of them were illiterate. They were not knowing about the development of synthetic indigo, and their natural indigo is not having any demand in the market and all those things. They signed the agreement without knowing all the things. Those who resisted to sign it, they appointed the lawyers, who were threatened by the landlords with the rowdies. And later, when the information about the synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who already signed, they wanted their money back. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. Okay, so you understood why Gandhi was called to Champaran by Rajkumar Shukla. He began by trying to get the facts. First, he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to an outsider. Gandhi answered that he was no outsider. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division in which the Champaran district lay. The commissioner, Gandhi reports, proceeded to bully me and advised me forthwith to leave Tirhut. Now Gandhi was trying to get more information. So first he is visiting the secretary of the British Landlords Association. And how was the reaction of the secretary? He said that they cannot give any information to an outsider. And Gandhi said that he was not an outsider. See how the real Indians were treated as an outsider by this British people. Next, Gandhi called on the British official commissioner of the Tirhut division. Actually, the Champaran district belongs to the Tirhut division. And the commissioner said that Gandhi said that the commissioner actually teased him and advised him to immediately leave Tirhut. So this was the reaction, the response of the British officials to Gandhi. Gandhi did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him at the railway station. A vast multitude greeted Gandhi. He went to a house and, using it as headquarters, continued his investigations. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village. Gandhi decided to go and see. The next morning, he started out on the back of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to return to town. Gandhi was not someone who is afraid of these things, so he is not leaving Champaran. Instead, he went to Motihari, the capital of Champaran, and several lawyers followed him. At the railway station, a vast crowd greeted Gandhi. He went to a house and he made it as a headquarters and he continued his investigations. By that time, a report came that in a nearby village, a peasant was maltreated. Now Gandhi decided to go and see what happened there. The next morning, he went on the back of an elephant. When he was on his way, he was stopped by a police superintendent and he ordered him to return to the town. Gandhi complied. The messenger drove Gandhi home where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice and wrote on it that he would disobey the order. In consequence, Gandhi received a summons to appear in court the next day. Now, what happened? Actually, the police superintendent's order was obeyed by Gandhi and he went back home. At home, he received an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed the receipt of the notice and he said that he will disobey the order. And as a consequence, Gandhi received a call to appear in court the next day. All night, Gandhi remained awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar with influential friends. He sent instructions to the ashram. He wired a full report to the viceroy. So, now what happened was that Gandhi was asked to come to the court. So that night Gandhi was awake. He telegraphed Rajendra Prasad to come from Bihar along with some influential friends. And he sent some instructions to his ashram and he faxed the full report of his investigation of what was happening in Champaran to the viceroy. Morning found the town of Motihari black with peasants. They did not know Gandhi's record in South Africa. They had merely heard that a Mahatma who wanted to help them was in trouble with the authorities. Their spontaneous demonstration in thousands around the courthouse was the beginning of their liberation from fear of the British.